And it's 3 minutes to the top of the hour 9. My name is Johnny Hughes. This is your Election Command Center live on 3FM Sunrise on 92.7. Courage Nobi is the Deputy Director of Communication and Policy at the Movement for Change. Joining us on the phone line is Evans Nimako. He is the Director of Elections of the governing New Patriotic Party. Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer, the Deputy Director of Elections. Gentlemen, good morning on the phone line. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Great. Evans, let me begin this with you. Yesterday there was an IPAC meeting. I'm sure that all is well from where you sit.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and good morning to your listeners. For us as New Patriotic Party, we think that we are on course. The decision from the EC with respect to the reprinting of the ballot papers, we didn't have any issue. We are less than lucky. We are number one on the ballot. Our presidential candidate is number one. All our parliamentary candidates are number one on the parliamentary ballot across the 276. And so we didn't have any quarrel. If the GFP nominated candidates had been successful in coming on board, we were going to have a new set of ballot papers, notwithstanding the fact that more than 90% of the presidential ballot had been printed. The EC pointed it out that we are confronted with time and financial concerns, and therefore, in the spirit of promoting our multi-party democracy and bringing all on board, the new decision to keep Madame Ekweadonko on the ballot, but then undertake extensive education and advert, let the world know that on the December 7th election, she is not in competition. Was accepted by New Patriotic Party and almost all the other political parties. The issue, I don't think really call for any objection from any of the stakeholders. What we as a party is looking forward is that all stakeholders will be fair and stick to the rules of the game.
Right.
And if that happens, our commitment to peace before, during, and after is in full force. So we are only monitoring all the stages towards December 2 and December 7th, so that our presidential candidate, His Excellency Dr. Mahathir Bawumia, will garner the constitutional threshold to constitute government. That is the position of the New Patriotic Party.
I see. Doc, let me come to you. All is well, also from the quarters of the NDC, yes?
Very well. Let me say good morning to your cherished listeners and my co-panelists. Evans is my in-law, and then the other.
Family and friends, yeah.
Well, like he rightly put it, I mean, we have no issues with the issue of the ballot papers, maintaining the ballot positions and all that. That has been our position all along. We would have wished our colleague, GFP, they have a candidate to join. Unfortunately, their candidate was not successful. I mean, I'll bet we'll continue with the process. So we are good to go with that. But as to the process, especially the summaries and statistics of the register, as we demanded last week. I mean, yesterday they presented same publicly, but we realized some issues therein, and then we raised it again at the IPAC meeting. That has to do with the cancellation of certain polling stations.
Right.
That resulted to about 884 voters being moved to other polling stations.
Right.
This was a startling revelation because that was the first time we were hearing that, and then we didn't take kindly with it at all because we are major stakeholders. And at least if they are going to collapse a polling station, at least they have to inform us as major stakeholders. And I'm sure my colleague Evans, I don't know whether he's aware of that. Because when a matter came, we raised it, everybody was quiet. We are not aware. Nobody has discussed that with us. We know that this year, polling stations are not to be created, but voting centers will be created because of the new numbers that are added during the registration period. So now if a polling station number has increased more than 750, it will automatically split into two, so that you have two voting centers at that place. So because of that, we have about over 40,900 plus polling stations. So if yesterday they issued a statement and indicated they have collapsed certain polling stations without telling the political party, it was well intentioned that we demanded that they let us know those polling stations they have collapsed.
Right. And did you get those answers?
Yes, and the numbers, where they have moved them to, which police station have they moved them to? Because for the fact that you just stated that they have been collapsed because of lack of numbers, and some communities demanded that they should be collapsed, and that resulted to about 884 of them being moved to absent voters list. I mean, this, on the face of it, nobody can take it. You need to come clean, let us know, so that we can also amend our records accordingly. We don't deploy officers to those police stations. Because as we speak now, Johnny, I'm not sure whether your polling station has been collapsed. You need to know. Otherwise, on the time you go to that police and they say it doesn't exist again, what happened to you?
I see.
I mean, these are the things we want them to come clean with.
Great. Let me bring in Courage, and I'll come back to you, gentlemen. Courage, the fallout from IPAC, both parties seem to be okay, aside Dr. Tanko, who is raising questions about the polling stations that the Electoral Commission says have been, absorbed into others and collapsed. But what does the Movement for Change think?
Thank you very much, Johnny, and good morning to listeners and viewers on social media. I think for us from the Movement for Change, we are still worried about the posturing of the Electoral Commission. It's still, they're still not conducting themselves as to beef up confidence in their work. Some of the things are being taken for granted. Some of the things that they are doing, it's like they are an authority unto themselves. In as much as you are an independent body, it's expected that you'll be transparent in your operations. You'll be fair in your operations. So these are the things that we are worried about.
But they have given you the register that you asked for. That's why have they not been transparent?
But again, at several times when you have yourself flouted your own given deadlines and timelines, then it's problematic. And this is also a time-bound activity, So time is of the essence. How early a particular document is released determines the quality of scrutiny that they can even go through for possible corrections and the like. We got worried when AC was saying that some communities demanded that certain polling stations be collapsed. When did it become the prerogative of communities to determine which number of polling stations they have and what they don't have? So some of those spurious explanations leaves room for worry.
I see.
We think that the EC should be more proactive in engaging stakeholders. I mean, after several months of complaint, now they've admitted independent candidates into what is Presidential Candidates Forum.
Right.
So I don't think it's even proper to call it as IPAC, because there are parties that do not have a candidate in this election.
Right.
But it took so long. Several times the EC decided to treat independent candidates as though they were persona non grata.
Better late than never. You now have it. Don't you have it now?
No, for a public institution, we expect that it to be improving continuously. But some of the interventions we are seeing, particularly leading to this year's election, seems to suggest there's rather retrogression in the efficiency and the manner in which the EC operates. That's what worries us because whether win or lose, we do not want to have any mayhem and bloodshed after this election. We do not want to have the democracy of the country compromised in any way. And that is why we continue to raise these issues.
Evans, let me bring you in and ask you the question about Madame Ikuya-Donkor still being on the ballot sheet, and that, the printing is 90% done, so we'll continue with it. There are those who have raised concerns about it creating confusion, even though you get your number 1, NDC gets their number 8, and the others get their 13 and 12, etc. There are those who think that in the villages and hinterland, it could create a lot of confusion and increase the toll of our spot rejected ballots numbers. What do you say to that?
Oh, thank you very much. I think that we shouldn't make the 90 because somebody is number 1 and another number 8. There were 13 people on the ballot. There are people in different positions. And New Patriotic Party is not because we are number 1. But the point is that, yes, if the GFP nominee had been successful, the EC was going to be bound to print a new presidential ballot paper for all the polling stations. But here we are, not being successful. But you see, when you look at the CI 127, Regulation 10.5,
right,
3FM
it gives a certain information and directive that where ballots have been printed and electoral materials have been done and sent to constituencies, the EC may keep them, and any vote that will accrue to such a person will be deemed invalid. So there's a supporting provision in the Act to ensure that what is to be done is within the confines of the law. And that's why I would not be invited into a narrative or argument to reduce it to number 1 and number 8. For us, yes, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is number 1. Our parliamentary candidates are. If others were generating their own hypothesis that there was going to be a certain movement on the ballot and therefore things must be done in a certain way, Dr. Rashid said that is their position. But you see, you don't need to belabor this point. We are focused, we are sparing our candidates, and so it's unfortunate they couldn't come on board. I think that now the party, GFP, will have the time to respectively give a befitting burial to Madam Ekadonko.
I see.
But for us as New Patriotic Party, the actions of the EC must be within the confines of the law. And my brother, if I point you to the Constitution, Article 296,
right,
exercise of discretion power,
that's right.
Yes, I don't think under this circumstance the EC has been capricious, has been unfair and biased.
Okay.
For us to say yes, there's nobody going to come on board. Let us have a new register, incur a cost, and spend another time. But in terms of her presence on the ballot and its effect in some of the polling stations in most rural communities, it is for the EC and stakeholders, i.e. political parties, to help educate voters and bring it to the fore that on voting day, the person on the third position is not in the contest. Therefore, all votes comes to the first position, which is Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and the New Patriotic Party.
I see. Let me bring in Doc. So did you, the Electoral Commission yesterday said that because of this particular situation which we just discussed, the Ekadonko situation, the Electoral Commission was going to dedicate some more time and if you like, resources to educate the public to know that, well, Ekadonko is on the ballot, but she really is not in the contest, so to speak. Did you and the Electoral Commission or did IPAC agree on the modalities, how long this education was going to take, what timelines, how soon it was going to begin, and how widespread it was going to be?
Well, I think the convention and practice, normally, when it happens like this, the presiding officers are asked to cancel the effigies of such a candidate, that is before ballots are issued to the voters, so that nobody comprints there. That has been the practice. Anytime a candidate withdraws and then after ballots have been printed or died, what they do is that the presiding officers are given ball pens, then they will cancel that aspect of the candidate and issue the ballot paper, so that when it is cancelled, you complain on that aspect. It means it's a rejected ballot.
Yeah, yes, Evans, sorry.
This one, the EC, I don't know how they want to handle it, but as it is now, anybody who complains on the
ballot paper.
Okay, Evans, I'll bring you in. I want Tanko to finish his point. So, Tanko, you're of the viewpoint that the directive should have gone to the polling stations, and then once you get there, that is cancelled, and then nobody goes to thumbprint. But the Electoral Commission says we leave it the way it is. We will rather educate the public within the time being until elections, so that people are brought up to speed that Ikuadonko is on the ballot, but she's not in the contest. That's what the Electoral Commission says.
Well, that's why I'm saying that to make matters easier for them, and I'm saying by convention, that is how it's supposed to be. Convention. What they will do is that the presiding officer, the one issuing the ballot paper, the ballot issuer, will have to be given a ball pen. Then when he is to give the ballot paper to a voter, he cancels the part of Ikuadonko, so that it becomes out. It means it's not part of the race. If you complain there, it's a rejected ballot. Well, if they don't do that, still anybody who complains at a portion of Ikuadonko will be counted as a rejected ballot.
Right.
Because not in the contest again. I mean, we'll take on the announcement. I mean, the education. They need to do more. Especially, you see, this calls in the NCC, which is now a moribund institution. I believe in the foreseeable future that we're going to be amending the constitution. I'll call for the scrapping of NCC. It's virtually doing nothing. With all these problems that Ghana is going through in terms of electoral difficulties, where is the stand of NCC? What are they doing?
I see.
So this is the difficulties where this is what they need to come in. Voter education. Civic education is their role. But do you hear them?
Evans, what did you want to say?
Yes, I'm saying that those is an institution which is mandated.
Gentlemen, one at a time. Doc, Evans wanted to make an intervention, so let's allow him quickly to do that. Evans, let's hear you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Tanko, ballot paper should not be tampered with before it is issued to a voter. It must not. There must be no other mark. That's why even at the printing house, when there's even a dot on any of the candidates or any of the positions, they are shredded and bent. So at no point should we allow, you say convention, which convention? I disagree with you. It is for EC to conduct extensive education and conduct adverts and political parties to help educate that nobody should vote for this number on the ballot. Period. But at no point should there be any other mark apart from the mark which decides where the voter is deciding to vote. So that you won't have anybody putting a mark at where the voter intends to vote otherwise, and then later when ballots are sorted, those ones will be deemed to have been, the decision of the voter will not be known and therefore declared as rejected.
I see.
The position of the New Patriotic Party is that, well, nobody should give or make any mark on the ballot whilst issuing it to the voter.
Doc, do you agree?
Evans, I strongly disagree. You know what he's talking about? We're all talking about, we are saying that cancel. You see, when you take it, that's why they give them rule there. How did they deactivate the barcode on the voter register? Is it not by cancelling? That's why we are saying that this one, when you take a rule and cancel on the picture, the symbol, and the box of Ikuadonko, you have just make a mark across it. So everybody seeing that mark knows that nobody complains at that point. That is what we are talking about. And the same thing, it's been done severally. We've done it. This is not the first time. I'm just saying that, well, if that is left to the EC, if they don't want to do that, they still want to leave it as it is. Anybody who tampers that fair enough, it becomes rejected. So be it. But I'm saying that by convention, that is how it's supposed to be.
But if we do that, then and we leave it at that, are we not going to be? Because I look at the rejected ballots from the last election cycle, over 300,000 rejected ballots. If we have this situation and we're not able to properly, handle it, we may be getting into some 600, maybe 700. That's not good for us, gentlemen.
Well, I don't see that. What I'm seeing is that normally the voters of Kyodankwa will know that they have cancelled that as she doesn't exist. Because there are lots of areas they will not know. There are lots of areas they will know that the woman is dead.
Right.
Some voters, they will know that. But when it is cancelled, they know that, oh, if this is cancelled, why should I complain there again? And so that is what we are saying. It's been done severally. But, well, that is left to the EC. We will not determine for them.
But did you make this intervention? Did you draw the attention of the EC to this convention that you're talking about?
They are aware of it. I said they are directors of all this, and they are aware. In our behind-the-scenes discussion, in fact, initially, long since that was what their position. Before they came out with this idea of allowing them 10 days to come and file their decision. Initially, that's what they wanted to do. But because my colleagues wanted to change the position of NDC, they were hurriedly forcing them to do all these things. Everyone knows that. They wanted NDC position change. So that's why they were doing all this kind of thing.
I see.
That led us to all this waste of time. Otherwise, we didn't have all these difficulties with it.
Yes, Evans.
You see the behavior and conduct of the NDC. Say things without basis, or they must be thrown into the mire. At no point was the New Patriotic Party interested. At no point. We did not sponsor any candidate to be on the ballot after the demise of Madame Ekwadonko. So if he doesn't know what he's talking about, he better keep his mouth shut. NPC, at any point in time, tried to create confusion. I mean, and you saw it before, even during the exhibition of the provisional register, the allegations they made, and they were exposed by the EC when an IPAC was extended to have the media cover the whole discussion. On the 1st of October, there was a subsequent meeting on the 15th, another revelation. I think the NDC, they are not happy. So if they are coming out with position that will have others on board, they must be clear. We've never had this issue. We're saying that there are conventions where such demise candidates are crossed on the ballot before they are issued. I'm saying that ballot paper, when it is issued to a voter, must not have any other mark. Yes, you will leave it to the EC.
Okay.
But at no point should we confuse the voter to the extent that when you are done, such ballots will be deemed to be rejected. My brother, in the 2020 elections, presidential, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was number 1 on the ballot.
Right.
92.7.
2 polling stations in Ghana, one in Upper East, the other in Central Region. The ballot issuer issued the ballot paper to voter without Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo appearing on the ballot. You think we want to go through that experience again? That criminal act. And so the EC issued a statement that all ballot papers must have full complement of all the candidates in the contest. Yes, it's unfortunate. Madam Ekwadonko is no more. She will not be in the contest. But the EC said, for the sake of time and resources, let's keep the ballot as it is, but we conduct extensive education. We invite political parties to help educate, for the world to know that the woman is not in the contest. You are saying that there have been conventions and therefore a presiding officer should be made to cross ballots before when they are issued. I'm saying no.
But what commitments did the Electoral Commission make beyond calling on the political parties to help educate the electorate? Did they tell you when they were going to start this public education, through which media or medium, how much it was going to cost, for example? I mean, I'm sure they should have had a grasp of it before coming out to make that announcement.
I'll be fair to you and listeners. That bit did not come out.
Right.
We expect that the EC will be professional in conducting this whole exercise for the period ahead of us to December 7. I'll continue to say that for us as New Patriotic Party, actions of all stakeholders must be within the confines of the law. We will continue to call for peace before, during, and after. And we know definitely God being so good to us, victory will be our portion. That is New Patriotic Party.
Thank you very much, Evans. Doc, you have the final word on this one on the phone, and I'll come to Courage.
Well, like he rightly said, all of us should work within the confines of the law.
Right.
We'll hold the issue strict proof to the implementation of the law. You remember in 2020, they bastardized the law and got away with it. With the principle of fake thinking. I'm proving that this year we're not going to have this. And then we are all monitoring. And we still insist that they come out with the polling stations, they have collapsed. We need to know them. They can't just write on the fact that and I was expecting you to put that question to Evan. Whether they are also interested in that or they are not interested in the collapsed polling stations. I mean, these are the things they must come clean when we are talking of issues of transparency.
Hello, my brother.
Yes.
You see, that is the problem with Dr. Temko and his colleagues. The EC, when we went into the 2020 elections, we had 30.
Evan, you have finished your part. You are coming back again.
Let me educate you. We went into the 2020 elections.
Evan, didn't they remove systems?
A total
did you see systems on the ballot and the
622 polling stations. The EC conducted some limited restriction exercise in 2023 and 2024. And that has brought us to a total of 80,774,159. The EC said, in order to manage the voting process on D-Day, we don't expect to have more than 750 people at a polling center. Therefore, if there's any polling station and there are more than that number, 750, they will split. So at that polling station, you have polling station A and polling station B. Unless Tanko is telling us that now the 40,648 polling stations that we have, with additional special voting centers of 328, are going to change with this arrangement. It's just to let you know that, yes, there was an intended creation of polling stations within the same area, but because of the numbers, we did not create. If they had done that, we're going to have more than 40,648. And this is a problem for Dr. Tango and his people.
Evans, we are talking of collapsed polling stations. Evans, what you are talking is outside what we are discussing.
In the first place, they were not created. Listen to me, in the first place, do they add up to the number that we have? Do they, where are the 40,648?
Oh, Evans, simple. Evans, where are the polling stations? The collapsed one, where are they? Where are the polling stations? The collapsed one, where are they?
Having gone through the register you took yesterday, how many polling stations do you have now for this election? How many?
Johnny, Evans is not answering the question.
He's also asking you a question.
Do you have for
Evans, where are the collapsed polling stations? Where are they? Simple.
No, I mean, I'm saying that those ones are not counted. See, my brother, let's help listeners. I'm saying that in 2020 we had 38,622 polling.
I think Evans, I think you'll be fair to him if you answer his question and then he will answer yours. Where are the polling stations? Do you know?
No, you can't sit now and call these are the polling stations. I'm saying that I don't know where you vote, but if where you vote, listen to me, if where you vote, the numbers were going to be more than 750, the EC was going to split. So it will be at that same polling station.
Okay.
Yes, no, so that's the understanding. It's not that your polling station exists.
Evans, this is where the problem, we are having problem with you people. And the EC. The problem is that the upper limit is 748. It shouldn't be more than that. Where is the lower limit? There's no lower limit. So therefore, how can you collapse the polling station without telling us where they are? That's the problem we have with them.
My brother, if you go through the register very well,
I should go through the register. These are the problems we have to them.
More than 300 people on the ballot. At that point,
okay,
you cannot say you won't
Yes,
have
sir.
a polling station.
Evan, let's ask Johnny. Johnny, do you have the register to know where your polling stations are?
Well, I don't have the access to the register.
So they should come clean. Why can't they announce that these are the polling stations who doesn't exist again?
Thank easy. If our brother sits where he is and he doesn't have the register before, how can you say where is your polling station? How would he know?
Right.
Unless he visited.
That is the question. So the issue should come clean. The issue should let us know.
Hold on. You don't have to make noise. Unless he visited his polling station during exhibition, or he checked from the EC website to know where his polling station is. But my brother, all polling stations are gazetted by the EC. And there's a code book that shows where each polling station is.
Okay, Evans. So Evans, the EC, they have given you code book. They have not given the NDC code book. You are referring to code book. We don't have code book.
You've been given a code book.
So you have the code book.
I'm saying that there should be a code book. But
then, that's why then follow it. Then agree with NDC because we have been requesting for this for all this
printing. EC is doing printing. He has generated ballot statistics based on the provisional or revised register he gave to political parties.
Right.
And that is what is being used in all the
Okay, Johnny, I'm catching up.
All parties have benefits of that document.
Okay.
And so if you want to help yourself, you will. I mean, and these are all part of the
sorry about that.
That the NDC sticks to.
Evans, I thank you very much indeed for your time. I'm sure we can catch up some other time. Evans Nimako is the Director of Research and Elections of the MPP, and Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is also a Deputy Director of Elections of the NDC. Courage Nobi is here, Deputy Director of Policy of the Movement for Change. You heard your colleagues.
I heard them.
They're asking for polling station and code book. And
I think the decision of the Electoral Commission not to reprint the ballot box is a prudent one. The ballot paper is prudent. I mean, it prevents dissipation of public resources and all of that. But there must be a way to indicate that this option is not available for PICs.
Right.
There must be a way to indicate that, you know. Of course, people have the right to make a decision. Somebody can even take their ballot and decide not to indicate any choice and go and drop it in.
Right.
No. But to the extent that this person is deceased. So we wait to see what level of interagency collaboration there would be for proper education within the next 20
the NCC and the EC.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not everything that the EC must take to do by itself. You know, interagency cooperation and collaboration so that we have effective.
In fact, when I asked that question about whether or not there was any commitment as to the timelines and how much it was going to cost, because the EC was coming to make this announcement, I'm sure they would have done some background work. But you heard Evans said no.
Nothing.
This had not been done.
The worrying part for me is the continuous conduct of both the EC and the ruling party, you know, as Siamese twins. They seem to agree on everything. The ruling party seems to agree to everything the Electoral Commission does. And this is a party that just about 8 years ago was extremely critical of the Electoral Commission. You know, it's worrying. It does not create the right impression. You know, so we need to have the EC conduct itself in a way that, again, brings up greater confidence to the Ghanaian people. As for the elections, the will of the people is what must prevail at all costs, the will of the people. Any arrangement, any machination that says to thwart that is actually an offense on the Constitution.
Right.
You know, and citizens will not sit and watch it happen. And that's why the EC must be circumspect in the way it conducts itself and it's how it communicates some of these things. For example, you have changed polling stations. Every stakeholder in this election, we have been recruiting and training our agents, okay, for the existed polling station that we know. And the choice of agents is dictated by a certain level of proximity. Right. You know. Right. You've changed
where they live and where they.
And you are telling us this 24 days to the elections. 24 days to elections, you come and now say that, oh, we've collapsed some, we've morphed some, we've changed. It doesn't augur well. And I believe that going forward, for proper electoral conduct, there must be regulations that stipulate what the EC can do and cannot do with particular timelines. For example, EC should not be compiling register less than 6 months to elections.
Right.
It shouldn't be happening. So at least 6 months to the elections, we should know the register. We should know who is voting. Apart from that, issues of these polling stations and all of that should not be changing, in such timeline, so that there's a certain certainty that all stakeholders are working with at least 6 months to the election. That will help us.
Right.
Than this, we'll be here 2 weeks to the election, and EC will come up and say, local communities have
You
made
seem to have a lot of doubts about the Electoral Commission.
because it's not conducted itself in a way to give me confidence. That's a problem with this EC. It seems to be very opaque and very intransigent, and sorry, they seem to exist unto themselves. Like they do things for themselves, and to the extent that everything they do for themselves, the ruling party is okay with it. It's problematic.
Has that not been the case that when you are in opposition, you seem to find every fault with the Electoral Commission? When you're in power, they sing the song of the Electoral Commission.
The question that I have for both the MPP and the NDC is, what do they do with the Electoral Commission? That every time they are in power, hallelujah to EC. Every time they are not in power, God forbid.
You want to know?
Both parties should tell us.
Okay.
And that is why sometimes you have all manner of machinations to remove one commissioner, and of course, the MPP has not helped the case this year with the kind of appointments that the president made to the commission. Partisan appointment to the commission has even worsened the perception of the public that the EC it does not have independence. And the Afrobarometer report suggests that more Ghanaians believe that the office of the president, the Electoral Commission, the judiciary, and you see, all of these are offices that are appointed by the by the office of the president.
Right.
The president appoints these, and that is why Alan Chamartin in the Great Transformational Plan has proposed the setup of a second chamber of parliament of no more than 25 Ghanaians, selected from the different sectors of the society, who should have powers over the president in the conduct of his function. So, for example, president appoints Johnny Hughes to a particular body. That appointment should be subject to the ratification of this body. Okay. So that we can begin to build our public institutions for a thriving democracy.
Courage, I thank you very much indeed for your time, for spending your money with us. We're very, very grateful. In regards to your team at Movement for Change,
thank you.
Now you have branded documents and branded shirts and branded everything. Hey,
that for Franto is sorry.
You.
I'm saying that Ghana